intervention on conflict. Sometimes conflict escalates so high, you need to have somebody step in. Sometimes one person come in, they can see this issue, especially on the personal conflict aspect of it, a problem when sometimes just an outside pair of eyes seeing the problem. Well, here's the problem. I've had that happen because you're so caught up in the details, you forget about what the big problem is. So sometimes you bring people in and you really have three different levels. The normal one is the Inquisition. Yes, they tie you to a bed, they put a metal halo on you, strap you in, and then they proceed to, no, not that, but they ask a lot of questions. They come in on the Inquisition, they say, what about this? What about that? Bosses will tend to do that, and it's a pretty common way to sit down there and solve conflict. You know what? Everybody in the room, let's go. And then you ask the questions, or you meet with them separately. Now, by the way, a lot of times on problem solving, you do not want everybody in the room, because often my experience has been you have one person that is really assertive, pushy, and the proper term is stubborn and pig-headed, and they want to go ahead and just ramrod everything through. And then you have the other person, they're tired and exhausted dealing with the personality over here. And if you put them in the same room, this person gets overridden by this person, and you still have a constant conflict. A lot of times you're better off separately meeting with them on the Inquisition over here and saying, meet the other person, hear their side of it, and then you come up with a closure. Then you bring them in and tell them your decision. And when the loud person, because a lot of times you have these two different kinds of personalities, when they bring it up, says, you know what, this is what I heard, and so on, and you make the people talk to each other, that helps. But be careful about having a group meeting, because sometimes the bullies like to ramrod stuff through and pretend that they're the bulldozer and they're going to crush everybody around them, including the person with the Inquisition. So be cautious on that. My recommendation is always keep people separate if you're going to use the Inquisition method, which actually is very effective. Sometimes you use mediation. You know, in the real world, in collective bargaining, mediation, a mediator doesn't have the ability to impose on anything. What a mediator typically does is, if you're in negotiations, you have one party over here and one party over here in two separate rooms. The mediator's job is they go into this party over here, oh, this side over here, the world will end if you do this. Oh, you got 17 things. They're going to have you. And so then they leave that room. They come back to this room. Oh, the other side, they're so smart. You're going to really have an awful hard time because the other side's so much busy. And they'll sit down and they play the same game. I've seen them do it. It took me about 3 times using the mediator to realize that really they're saying the same story to both sides. And sometimes it's pretty effective. I've used mediators probably in the single digits, high single digits, and usually out of the 9 times I've used them, about 7 times we resolved it that way. A couple times you can't because the sides are so entrenched. Arbitration, somebody comes in and they listen to both sides and they make a ruling. Okay, it's a little bit like the Inquisition, but true arbitration really comes in. You have an outside third party come in, they listen to it, and they make the decision for the organization. Okay, I heard both sides. You're done. We're doing it this way. Let's go forward. That's it. And then they charge an outrageous fee and they move on. So different types of intervention. You got the 3. Really, you look at different aspects of it. Managers prefer the Inquisition because they're involved. They get to hear their side. The mediator really helps because of the fact they don't have the ability to impose something, but people really sit down and get a chance to express themselves, and people do like to talk and be heard. Being heard is a big thing on conflict. Arbitration, you use it when mediation fails. A lot of times you have different aspects of the approach you're going to do. You have a distributive approach where I win, you lose, ha 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 ha. Yes, which really doesn't work very well. It works well if you have a single deal, okay? But the problem is if you're going to deal with that person again and again, okay, you need to have a win-win thing, because what'll happen is if you win and they lose, they're going to come back next time you have a problem with guns blazing, hopefully not real, okay? But that's just a term, okay? They'll come back and attack you full force because they have to win that time. That win-lose is cute if you have a one-time only deal and you walk away with all the money, okay? But if you really want to sit down and work with this person over a long time, that is nothing more than a dumb approach, okay? You always want to sit down and have an opportunity so everybody saves face, we call it. It's a win-win thing. Sometimes you may win all the issues, but allow them to sit down and walk away looking dignified, because if you sit down and they walk away disgraced, they will get revenge on you if it's in the same organization. It's a bad strategy. Do all you can to have win-win for everybody. Successful negotiators, we develop goals. There's 3 different goal setting positions you can have out there. You need to focus on the goals, focus in on considering the various goals that achieve the different needs, and negotiators also anticipate the other party's goals. So look, when you look on the aspect of this, okay, you have a bargaining zone. You have different things, you have different issues you want to bring forward, issues you want to win no matter what. Issues that you're going to toss out there that are what I call throwaways, that, oh, if I win this, this is good and everything else. And then over here where it's no, 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 and we'll die on the hill over here, let's fight. Okay, the other side is going to come up with something similar. They may not define it that way, but for the most part, there's things that no matter what happens, they want to walk under negotiations with on conflict or in real negotiations, and things they're going to propose that are just ridiculous. And if they get them, life is good. If it's not, oh well, okay. And then other things they'll never sit down and go for. Or if they do, they'll demand a super high price out of you. Before you get into negotiations, though, you want to sit down and try to work things out in the thing that we call BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement. And that is your definition of, I don't want to go in negotiations. What if I just give them this, and then I'll demand to have this? Sometimes you do that without having to meet or anything else. The other sides, everybody's in favor of it. But sometimes you want to negotiate it. So you have, it depends on the sources and how much time you have, because sometimes a BATNA will help you reduce time and you just get it done. And the other side agrees to it or let you get away with it in the process, depends where they're coming from. And you don't have to go to negotiation. But anyhow, when it comes down to intervention and conflict, you have inquisition, okay, where the boss comes in and says, okay, I want to hear both sides, and then they make a decision. Mediation, where somebody without any true power other than persuasion can come in and get both sides to agree. And arbitration, where third party comes in, and you have this aspect over here, right there. Okay, so they impose that. Always sit down, look on what your plan is, what you want to achieve. If you have the conflict, think about the best alternative to negotiated agreement, so you don't have to get into negotiations. Have your BATNA for a conflict if it's escalating as to what's the minimum you can sit down and agree to. Decide an approach, and will you ever have to go back to the table with them? Keep that in mind. If it's a one-time only thing, then go for the moon. If you have to go back and deal with them again, try to make it win-win. It's all on conflict. A lot of it's planning and then implementing, getting everybody to implement the same approach, focusing on what the problem is and not the people that are involved. Intervention on conflict, try it, work it. You'll have some, no matter what job you have, use some of the techniques we learned here as to how you can resolve the conflict. Take care.